Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. Today I've got another unenveloping for you. Here's the parcel all the way from China. What we're going to do, unenvelope it, take a look at the pen, take a look at the ink, do a writing sample, and then I'll give you my first impressions of the pen. So join me down on the mat and let's jump right in. So here we are down on the mat. I've already sliced the end of the package just to make it a little bit easier. So let's take a look at what we've got. So sliding off the envelope and it reveals this. So it's well packaged. It's got a load of protective material there. Let's slowly take this out and then that reveals this. So this is a Moonman C3. Let me take it out of the wrapper. Doesn't want to come open, does it? Oh, we've even got a label there saying what it is. I'll just fetch in a pen rest. So there we are. The Moonman C3. And it cost me $13.60 Australian. So a nice inexpensive pen. We'll take a quick look around the body. So the top, we've got this clear finial. That then comes down to this silver coloured clip. That's really nice and springy. Just look at that. The cap tapers out until, I would say, just before the end of the clip. Then we get one width. Below that, we've got this band here. Just slowly turning it around for you. Here we go. The bottom of the band then drops down into the main body. Because they've got the band at the bottom of the cap, it's not really a noticeable drop off, which is nice. The main body then comes all the way down. Seems to be tapering slightly narrower as we go along. Then we come to this end portion here. And we've got then the cap, which drives this filling mechanism. So let me pull that out. And then, so this is a vacuum filler. So as you can see, what we do is we pull the plunger out. As we slowly push that plunger down, what it's doing is creating a vacuum behind it. You can see there where it sucked it back. So if I keep going, then when we get nearly down to here, the inside of the barrel widens out. That releases the vacuum and then allows the ink to be sucked up to fill that void. If I tighten the cap down, you can see it's moving down. And what that's doing is that's actually sealing off the section from the barrel. So if you have any changes in temperature or pressure, you're not going to lose the contents of the barrel. Really nice. I like vacuum fillers. My problem is with a lot of the Chinese vacuum fillers that I've had. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me, but I struggle to get it actually to work. It seems to be that the barrel is always blocked off from the section and I have to take this out and pull it backwards and forwards. Now, this is the first Moonman that I've got which has got this filling mechanism. So hopefully we won't have the issues with that. That's something I'll know as I use the pen. And it's strange because it's only the Chinese pens that I have this issue with. I've got a number of non-Chinese vacuum fillers and they all work perfectly. Yeah, it's a bit weird. So let's take off the cap. So we go, there's half a turn. About 3/4 of a turn, between 3/4 and a full turn. Really nice. And let's take that off to reveal this. This is the working end. This is the nib. This is what we're here to see, isn't it? So that's a reasonably sized nib there. Let's take a closer look at it. So we've got some decorative scroll work. Below that, we've got the breather hole. So this is interesting. What I'm seeing here when I'm looking at this nib is not what I expected. I expected to have a Moonman C3. This looks like it's a PenBBS because it says so on the nib. We take a closer look at the cap. So what they've actually sent me is a PenBBS 268. Not the Moonman C3 that I was expecting. Now that's a shame because I said all the way through this I've been expecting a Moonman C3, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. It's something I'll have to order one again. I do already have a PenBBS 268 and it's one of the ones where I have had problems with a vacuum filler, so it's going to be nice to actually compare this 268 against the previous one I had. So slightly disappointed, but we'll carry on. So I lied to you before. This is not a Moonman C3. This is a PenBBS 268. Let's pop it back together. So now I'm going to do some size comparisons. Let me just change this over. I'm going to pop that in the middle. So the first pen I'm going to fetch in, Pilot Metropolitan. Very similar size-wise, isn't it? Then Allow Me Safari. Again, very similar size. Just look at the nibs. So I'll just take these off. So uncapped, the Lamy is a little bit longer. And the Pilot, well, to me, that looks a little bit shorter. I'm going to fetch in some other pens to have a quick look at. Just pop this all back together. So the other pens, I've got a Wingsung 698, and then we'll fetch this one in. This is a Pilot Custom Heritage 92. So again, similar sizes. I'm going to just step away from the computer now. I'm going to go and I'm going to give this pen a clean out. So here I'm back. Let's take a look at the ink. So the ink I'm going to use today is by Diamine, and it's Diamine Poppy Red. I've had this ink a few weeks now, and I've not had it into a pen, so I thought I've got a transparent pen, which means I can really put any colour I want in it, so why not go for the Poppy Red? This is obviously a nice red colour from the name, but it's got hints of orange in it. So I wouldn't say it's tending orange, but you can see orange coming through. On here, it seems like it's fairly flat. There's not much in the way of shading coming through. We'll see what we get when we do the writing sample. I've been eyeing this ink up for, about 6 months, and then I finally pulled the trigger on the last order that I did, and I thought, right, let's get that into a pen now. Let's pop that away. Our ink holder for today, it's Mr. Dragon. Let's pop him down, and I'll fetch the ink in. So here we go, Poppy Red. Slowly take that top off. Pull out the plunger. Into the ink we go. So I don't end up with ink everywhere. I'm slowly pushing the plunger down and then bang. Leave that a few seconds. There we've got our ink inside the barrel. Nice, half full I would say. I'm not going to fill this up completely because the problem I get with these, when I fill them completely, it just takes so long to write them out. So I'll just pop the cap back on and let's get rid of the ink. Right, let's fetch in the trusty notepad. So here we go. This is by Black and Red. And it uses the Oxford optic paper. Really like the Oxford paper. It seems to work really well regardless of what ink I'm using. Now before I start my writing sample, let's just take the cap off anyway. One of the things I like about this, you can actually see where, as well as having the ink in the barrel, we can see it down here in this section. I think that makes it look really nice. The section, it's got that lip at the bottom. That does tend to dig a little bit into my hand. Not enough to cause a problem, but it's just something I have to be aware of. And the cap will post. And it posts, as you can see, coming straight off. But if you're writing, it's there, but it's wobbly. So a pen to use unposted, which for me is fine. So we've got here a PenBBS 268. And this should have a fine nib. The ink we're using is Diamine Poppy Red. Now to me, this is an extremely fine nib. May even be extra fine. I'll have to dig into that a little bit more as I use the pen. Drying times, immediate. Fairly dry, but as I say, it seems to me to be a fairly fine nib. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. Finally, 1 minute. After a minute, that's nice and dry. Next test, I'm going to move the mic down towards the paper so you can hear the pen writing. Like most PenBBS nibs, that's actually fairly nice to write with. It's fairly smooth. It's not scratching or anything, it's just going over the paper. I'm not going to say it's gliding, there is a lovely amount of feedback, but that's something I found, as I say, with all PenBBS nibs. Is there any line variation? Little tiny bit if I'm pressing hard, but it's not a flex nib, it's not really meant to have that variation. As I say, if I press hard I can see it, if I press normally you can definitely see a slight difference. So what are my first impressions? So I'm going to start off, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed because I ordered a Moonman C3 and I was sent a PenBBS 268. Yes, I'll reorder it because I still want that Moonman C3. I'm not going to worry too much because at the end of the day, if I try to send it back, it took nearly 3 months to get here anyway, so it's just not worth the hassle. And for what it cost, I mean, at $13.60, I'll just buy another. Now, as I said, I did already have a PenBBS 268 in the same colour, so slightly disappointed I've got two of the same pen, but on the other hand, it lets me have a look at that filling mechanism, because if I have the issues with my old one but not with this new one, well, at least I know the problem is with the pen, not with me. Whereas if I'm still having problems with both of them, it's likely to be the way that I'm using it. I like PenBBS pens anyway, so again, I'm not too worried about it. I think this is a very fine line. I can't remember what the line was like with the old one, so I may end up having to ink that up as well so I can do a side-by-side comparison. I will play around with the nib a little bit to see if I can widen it, and I may even look, I'm just going to use the old one here. It looks like that's a number 6 nib. One of the differences I have noticed there, the old one has got that gold border on it, whereas this new one doesn't. So what I may do is play around with the nib and maybe even try replacing it with a medium or a broad nib that I've bought from a third party. As I say, I will buy that Moonman C3. I just don't know how long it will take to actually get here. So it's my review of what should have been a Moonman C3, but is in reality a PenBBS 268. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. What do you think of the Moonman C3? How about the ink, that gorgeous Diamine Poppy Red? What inks would you try in a pen like this? Have you got one of these pens? Please drop your comments down below. Let's kickstart the conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, well, it just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.